We have identified the survivors this morning, both well known in the music industry. One, Travis Barker.
The landing gear popped. It sounded like gunshots. It sounded like someone was shooting a gun next to my head. And then the plane just spiraled out of control. I jump into the jet fuel. So my whole body is engulfed in flames at this point. People are screaming and they say, you know, just like what we learned in school, like stop, drop, and roll. I had 65% of my body burnt in third-degree burns. I had 27 surgeries.
You can see the plane over to my right here. The plane is on an embankment on a highway next to the airport.
Travis Barker got onto a plane with 6 other people in 2008. They were all headed to California after performing in South Carolina, but unfortunately they never made it off the ground. The plane malfunctioned and drove Travis and his team into the ground. This fiery disaster left Travis disfigured and traumatized. So let's get into it. So many people talk about Travis Barker because of his relationship with Kourtney Kardashian, but little people know about his traumatic plane crash back in 2008. There are 6 people who went on to this flight and only 1 survived, which is Travis Barker. Travis Barker is the sole survivor of the plane crash. Before the crash, he had an immense fear of flying. Since the crash, he has not been on an airplane, but he claims in the future he will when he has to. Which you guys know, he's been on a plane since. He actually took a flight back in 2021 and he went to go, get his wedding dress situation figured out with Kourtney in Italy. So he's been on a plane since, but it was a tough time and over a decade before he went back on one. So Travis was in South Carolina trying to get home to California, and he was with his friend Adam, who's a DJ AM, and they had a gig out there, so they were, finished and ready to go back on the West Coast.
We do know that they were in town last night for a concert in a neighborhood in Columbia called 5 Points, a popular night spot here where there was a free outdoor concert last night that hundreds, if not thousands, of people were at, and we take it maybe they were leaving that concert on their way to go somewhere.
So they were headed to the Van Nuys airport, and there was Travis, DJ AM, their friend Charles and Chris, and then 2 pilots. The aircraft operating the flight was a Learjet 60 that bore the registration N999LJ. The rear-ended business jet was relatively new at the time, given that, according to the Aviation Safety Network, it had first flown in 2006. So on September 19th, 2008, the aircraft was going down the runway at this airport, and they heard a loud bang. The pilots informed the air traffic control that there were sparks coming from the jet and they would be aborting departure.
The landing gear popped. It sounded like gunshots. It sounded like someone was shooting a gun next to my head. And then the plane just spiraled out of control. It would come down.
What goes, everyone thinks about this. What goes through your mind? Did you have much time to think?
For me, it was my biggest fear already, and it was coming true.
You didn't like flying?
I hated flying. I had a dream when I was 19 I was going to die in a plane crash. Like, I got drunk, and I didn't really drink, and I told my manager that. And he was like, what are you talking about? And I think just from a young age, I saw my mom fly with me one time, and she was very upset. And it just was always something I didn't care to do.
As I mentioned earlier, Travis does not like flying, and this flight had its problems. The safety board confirmed that the tire burst on the plane due to inadequate maintenance and severe underinflation. By the time the crew realized what was going on, they were at a speed of V1, which means you're going way too fast to stop. You've got to either go up or you're just going to keep on going. There's actually a flight simulation of this, and I'm kind of scared, but let's go ahead and just watch it together. I feel like I'm flying. Oh my gosh, I felt like I was in a video game there. I'm like literally sweating. But so of course the plane never took off. It went and it crashed. It crashed into an embankment. So it went right through the fence into this piece of land and burst into flames.
Yes, a few minutes ago on the phone, Alex, we talked to a witness who was driving down the road right before this crash happened and saw the crash. You can see the plane over to my right here. The plane is on an embankment on a highway next to the airport. The witness told us he was a few hundred yards away last night, a few minutes before midnight, and saw what he called a fireball rolling across the highway.
This crash was serious. It was explosive. And there was one car that was like driving up to it and you could see how fiery it is. And here's a little bit of Travis Barker actually explaining what was going on in that moment.
The landing gear popped. It sounded like gunshots. It sounded like someone was shooting a gun next to my head. And then the plane just spiraled out of control. I caught fire trying to go to the front of the plane to save my two friends and get to the pilots possibly. And I caught fire. I basically, you know, get very, very scared and I run, I grab Adam, he's passed out. I open the emergency exit, I jump into the jet fuel.
So at this point, Travis Barker was on fire. He was drenched in jet fuel and engulfed in flames. So he ran across the highway completely on fire as Adam, DJ AM, was trying to cool him down, I guess, like, get the fire to stop, but there's like literal jet fuel, which is way stronger, I believe, than like gasoline. So it burns a lot.
I caught fire trying to go to the front of the plane to save my two friends and get to the pilots possibly, and I caught fire.
So Travis did initially try to save the others, but I mean, when you're literally on fire, there's not much you can do.
So my whole body is engulfed in flames at this point. Adam sees me jump into the actual jets and become like, you know, fully on fire, and he jumps around and follows me, and he's literally on his phone calling our manager going, our plane crashed, like Travis is on fire, like he's cursing, he's yelling. And then as I'm running, you know, because the embankment was a highway, so someone in a car, like people are screaming and they say, you know, just like what we learned in school, like stop, drop, and roll. And I hear it and I do exactly that. And then the only place Adam got burnt is, you know, my feet were soaked in jet fuel. So he actually patted out my feet and he ended up burning himself on his arm and a little bit on the back of his head.
So the stop, drop, and roll really works, which is something I need to like reteach myself because, like, heaven forbid if something happens to me, I probably would forget in that moment. Unfortunately, Charles and Chris, Travis's friends, died on the spot along with the two pilots. So they were just pretty much like caught up right up in that explosion when it hit the embankment.
There were two people out of the plane. We're going to presume that was Travis Barker and DJ AM, both trying to put the flames out on each other.
Thank God Travis and DJ AM were able to help each other, but the damage was severe. Travis spent a total of 11 weeks in the hospital, which during that time he had 16 surgeries, including skin grafts and blood transfusions. He also missed one of his friend's funerals because he was in the hospital, which that's just like incredibly heartbreaking. I cannot imagine being stuck in that room and just wanting to be there for your friend.
And you had third-degree burns, right?
I had 65% of my body burnt in third-degree burns.
The pain of burns is terrible, isn't it?
It's the most painful experience obviously I've ever been through. Because I was wrapped, I was pig cadaver was stapled to me, and I was completely nude, you know, in the hospital. And then, you know, when you're burnt, especially like how I was, or any, like the person you're talking about, they put you in this huge metal pan about 3 times the size of this table, and they scrub you with a metal brush every other day to get all the infection out. And, you know, graft, you know, the procedures of getting grafts, you know, I had 27 surgeries. It was an experience.
Learning about Travis's experience and like how they had to treat him, it just sounds so awful. I just, like, anyone who's a burn victim, my heart goes out to you. If you ever had that, comment below, because I feel like that's just such like an incredible thing to overcome. But DJ Adam, DJ AM, he had his own story, and he did open up about what happened in those moments to him.
I mean, I guess I get why they call it post-trauma, because it was very tough, and I have really bad days and I have okay days, you know, it's strange, you know, but I mean, I'm blessed, I'm alive, I'm here.
There's no doubt in my mind that any person in this situation would have serious PTSD, and they were just like rushed to the hospital and treated for weeks.
4 of them have died, 2 survived. We have identified the survivors this morning, both well known in the music industry. One, Travis Barker, the former drummer for the group Blink 182, and the second, Adam Goldstein, known as DJ AM, a popular DJ in California.
Travis Barker's injuries were a lot worse than DJ AM. He was in the hospital for just 1 week, but unfortunately he passed away a year later in August 2009 due to an overdose. This really affected Travis because that was the only living person who had gone through this experience, and he was quoted saying that we were each other's therapist. They looked for each other in this situation because they were survivors and they understood like what it was like to go through that. When he passed away, Travis said, "Oh, F, I'm the only one in my club. It's just me and I found my ways to deal with it," which sounds so sad. Since then, Travis has gone on to live his life, which is great. He ended up reuniting with Blink 182 in February 2009 after taking a hiatus, but he did not want to fly. He actually didn't end up flying until August 2021, so it took him like over a decade, 13 years after the accident.
Barker told Joe Rogan that it took months of surgery and therapy, both physical and mental, to overcome the trauma of the crash. But now he tried to get back to those who helped him by assisting the recovery of other burn victims.
I go over there at Christmas and see burn victims that are over there in the burn center and help out any way I can.
That's so great that he goes to those burn victims because only so many people can understand what that pain feels like. But he hasn't been unscathed. I mean, since then, he's got serious PTSD and he's got issues with substances. I mean, he was a drinker and smoker before, but he started getting into opioids, and after recovering from that pain, he started taking a lot more.
You know, and for me, unfortunately, I was medicating myself recreationally before the accident to where none of the medicines were working, so I'd wake up mid-surgery, you know, in so much pain. But I mean, I can't say enough good things about the Grossman Burn Center. They took great care of me.
Travis's drug use got so bad that he became calcium deficient. He had osteoporosis. He had a lot of different issues, and he's been in and out of the hospital up until this day. One article reports that Courtney has remained by her husband's side through the ordeal, accompanying Travis to the hospital and going to this center over and over to keep a close eye on his progress. So I'm really happy that Travis has found love and that they are supporting each other and that Courtney makes time to go make sure that her man's is okay. Nonetheless, this is a tragic situation, and I want to hear what you guys think in the comments below. I'm starting to like freak myself out when it comes to planes, like the Paula Abdul situation. I mean, well, Paula lied about that, but I mean, plane crashes are so scary. Aaliyah, so many people. So if you have any other video ideas for me, here's my email. Let's go ahead and open this P.O. Box letter. I don't know who it's from. It's from Adriana. Dear Sloan, thank you for all the ways you make this world a brighter one. I've been watching your YouTube channel. I just wanted to say thank you for all the good videos that you make. Keep up the good work. Happy holidays. Thank you so much, Adriana, and I'll see you in a new video soon. Bye, guys.